In this 25th anniversary year of September 11th, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation continues to honor America's heroes. Heroes like Fire Lieutenant Michael Wells, who was inspired by 9/11 to serve his community. After 14 dedicated years of service, he lost his battle with occupational cancer, leaving behind his wife, Katie, and their 3 children. Tunnel to Towers honored Lieutenant Wells by paying off the family's mortgage in recognition of his sacrifices. Donate $11 monthly and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org.
He's at war with woke.
Joe Concha
thinks liberals are a joke.
Joe Concha.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
And welcome, everybody. On this Thursday night, I come to you from Springfield, Illinois. Yes, that is the capital of Illinois, the birthplace of Abraham Lincoln. Doing a speech. You guys know how this works with me. I'm on the road more than the Beatles were at their prime. But hey, it's all good. Meanwhile, this is some crazy stuff here, guys. What's going on with Candace Owens and Erica Kirk? That's what I'm going to start off with tonight, because I just find Candace, who used to be sane, who used to be considered one of the rising stars in the conservative movement, has just gone completely off the rails. I don't quite how else to describe it, but Candace Owens, she was away in Italy during the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and I predicted that night when the video started coming out of Erica Kirk crying as she was leaving the ballroom, said, "I just want to go home." And imagine what this hell this woman has been through, seeing her husband get executed, Utah Valley University, saw it on video, I'm sure. It was everywhere. Obviously has two very young children that she has to raise now as a single mother. And you would think that there wouldn't be a soul on the planet who would ever mock or criticize or laugh at Erica Kirk for everything that she's gone through. But, well, Candace Owens is leading that charge in accusing Erica of being an accomplice after the fact in her own husband's murder. I mean, this is some sick stuff. So sure enough, she gets back, Candace does, from Italy, and she was back on the air today. And of course, the whole show, and I predicted this after it happened. I said, Candace Owens is going to go on her podcast and mock Erica Kirk for being overdramatic at the White House Correspondents' Dinner when she was taken out of the room. Well, yeah, when your husband's already been executed and you hear gunshots and you're near the president, yeah, I would think that you would be traumatized too, of course. Anyway, let's go to cut number 10. This is Candace going off on Erica, saying that actually the whole White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting, actually it was all staged or something. This is cut number 4. Go.
Despite this actually being a story, we were immediately inundated with social media posts. And for some reason, the star of the would-be saga was none other than Ms. Erica Kirk. Somehow, at the exact right moment and amidst all of the chaos and the subsequent lockdown, someone had captured the exact moment that Erica Kirk was walking out and captured the audio of her saying this.
I just want to go find.
Okay. So the clip was first shared by Sarah Seidner. She is of CNN. She's a CNN reporter. But I noted pretty early on, I thought that was pretty precise for her to have recorded that. Also, she's on air talent, so it would be unusual for her to just be like trying to get things behind the camera. Anyways, she stopped short, I've looked everywhere, of ever saying that she herself recorded it, which I found to be interesting. That's interesting to me. And so I reached out to her on Instagram ahead of the show. I reached out yesterday and I think the day before on Instagram, on Twitter, and via text, asking her to simply...
I mean, this is just incredible. You know, oh yeah, the whole thing was staged and somebody filmed Erica Kirk leaving because Erica, I guess, hired that person to be in that exact moment at that exact time to drum up sympathy for herself. Like Erica Kirk needs any more sympathy after everything that's happened. And again, I hear some people saying that, oh, well, Candace Owens never actually accused Erica Kirk of murdering her husband. Oh, really? Well, we got the receipts here in cut number 2. Go.
I'm starting to think that the assassination of Charlie Kirk was something akin to a regicide, right? The assassination of a king to install a new ruler who the king would have never approved of. Anyways, back at headquarters, I am told it's business as usual. And it's kind of giving me like, I don't know, LBJ when he gets sworn in that famous picture. Unfortunately, sworn in. Unfortunately, of course, he's sad in this photo. Gosh, he's obviously not wanting to be the president of the United States. JFK was shot and killed. And now LBJ has to step up, unfortunately. But I gotta be honest, I wasn't there. I don't think LBJ was actually that upset. I don't know why. Vibes. The vibes just aren't vibing for me in that picture, knowing, as I do and as Charlie did believe, that LBJ was involved, which then implicates the feds as having been involved, which then implicates the Dallas police station as being involved. I believe Israel was obviously involved, that they were the ones that wanted him dead. When Ben came out swinging, I was going, oh, something's very wrong here. Basically, Erica here is pulling the LBJ, and what I mean by that is as soon as LBJ got into office after JFK's assassination, he reversed course on every single one of JFK's policies. JFK's enemies seemingly became LBJ's friends. Erica appears to be doing that to me.
I mean, that's just incredible, isn't it? I mean, oh yeah, she's pulling an LBJ. An LBJ. In other words, I guess what she's saying is that Lyndon Baines Johnson wanted JFK assassinated. That happened in Dallas, of course, November 1963. So he can get into office to reverse all of Kennedy's Vietnam policies. So I guess LBJ was part of that whole assassination that was carried out by Lee Harvey Oswald, or maybe it was the mob, or maybe it was the Cubans. Again, we're getting into insane places here. And the fact that Erica Kirk has said nothing that has been remotely controversial, that has been hateful. She said she forgives the shooter. She met with Candace Owens after these accusations came out to try to smooth things over. And just every day, it just keeps coming and coming and coming from the likes of Candace Owens. And again, it's just a whole bowl of wrong. Meanwhile, it is amazing what happened in Florida today. And well, not surprising, however, that we have a situation where, okay, Virginia just moved its map congressional from 6 Democrats, 5 Republicans, likely to 10 Democrats and 1 Republican, despite the fact that Kamala Harris only won that state by about 5 points. In Florida, which is as red as Alabama at this point, where Ron DeSantis won his governor's race by 18 points. Donald Trump won the presidential race by something like 13, 14 points. So yeah, this is a profoundly deep red state, therefore should have more Republicans representing it in Congress. It's justified in Florida based on the numbers. Well, there was some fighting going back and forth between Hakeem Jeffries and DeSantis. Hakeem Jeffries basically warning DeSantis not to do this redistricting, that only Democrats can do that in places like Virginia. But if Florida does the same thing, well, I don't know. It's going to be big, big trouble for a guy like Ron DeSantis. Well, here is DeSantis. Actually, let's play Hakeem first, because when you think of garbage, think of Hakeem. This is cut number 9. Go.
Toward a more perfect union. And now we're at a point where affirmative action is gone, diversity is gone, equity gone, inclusion gone, racial tolerance gone, the Voting Rights Act largely gone. But guess what, extremists? We're still here. That's right. And we're not going anywhere.
Wow. So I guess Hakeem is not happy with this at all, saying that everything is now going to be erased as a result of Florida redistricting to the point where they have more Republican seats, even though New York, Virginia, Illinois, California have been doing it for many, many years. So this is just the way that works. And then the Supreme Court had that huge ruling with you can no longer gerrymander districts particularly in the South, by race. So what that's going to mean is in a place like Louisiana, for example, they're going to redraw their maps and probably add more Republican seats there as well. So when this all shakes out in the end, between Texas, Florida, Louisiana, possibly Indiana, possibly Ohio, Republicans will gain more seats than Democrats. The question is, will it be enough to stem the tide as far as what we normally see during midterms, which is the party that isn't in power gaining an average of, I think the average is something like 18 seats in a midterm. And in this case, only 4 seats are needed to be flipped in order for Hakeem Jeffries to be the Speaker of the House. God help us all. But like I have been saying, guys, the SAVE Act has to be passed. They got to figure out a way to get this thing done, because Republican voters are going to look at the fact that after the 2024 election, Republicans controlled the House, the Senate, and the executive branch. And despite all of that, still can't pass the one piece of legislation that voters want the most. And that is simple stuff that 85% of Americans, even a majority of Democrats, majority of Black voters, Latinos, a solid majority, all say that you should have to show ID when you vote, and you should have to prove that you're an American citizen. That's it. Those are 2 very, very common sense things. And if this somehow does not get passed, then I think Republicans will be fairly unenthusiastic, we'll put it that way, very gently, come November. And as a result, Democrats will easily take back the House. And then who knows with the Senate as well. And then if the White House is up for grabs, say it once, I'll say it again. You're going to have, if they get all 3 branches of government, like they did, not branches of government, but the House, the Senate, and the White House, like they had in 2020, this time there'll be no Kristen Sinema or Joe Manchin to stop Democrats from blowing up the filibuster, from nationalizing elections where ID won't be needed anywhere. Just remember, Kamala Harris, the only states that she won were the states that had the most lax voting rules. Just saying, just putting that out there. So they'll want that, no question. Probably make Election Day a national holiday, have it on a Saturday, have 20 weeks of early voting. Who cares? More mail-in, all that stuff, all the stuff that is ripe for fraud and corruption. So they'll do that. And then they'll also expand the Supreme Court. They already said that today. Hakeem Jeffries said all options are on the table, which means if they have the ability, they will make it a 9-6 Supreme Court, 9 liberals, 6 conservatives, as opposed to the 6-3 court now. Jeffries saying that these are extreme MAGA judges. Also, there's talk of impeachment of judges like Justice Thomas or Justice Alito as examples. And they will do it. And they will completely and totally gut the Electoral College, where it'll only come down to a popular vote, which again is a very, very dangerous thing, because you'll have candidates that will simply try to appeal to the biggest cities, the biggest population centers, and places like Iowa, New Hampshire. No candidate will go anywhere near those states because, well, you don't need them. You just need to run up the score in big cities. And obviously that would favor Democrats ultimately. Because remember, you wouldn't have a Donald Trump as president if the Electoral College did not exist in 2016. Remember, Hillary won the popular vote. Trump got in because he won the electoral vote and swept the blue wall, or the former blue wall. I could go down the list in terms of what Democrats will do, but that's where we are headed at this point, and that's why the first salvo, which is the midterms in November, are the biggest midterms, the biggest deal ever. And I know people say it all the time, this is the most important election of our lifetime. No, this time, we mean it this time, and it really, really is. Because you may end up having more and more people like, I don't know, Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson. Who's she? She's the female Northwest version of Zohran Mamdani. She is a Democratic socialist, loud and proud. And she was asked about all these wealthy people that are leaving the city of Seattle. Starbucks moving out of Seattle. Yeah, they'll symbolically keep their headquarters there, but their biggest hub will be in Nashville, Tennessee, which, doesn't have state income taxes. So she was asked about Starbucks, and then she was asked about, all these wealthy people, like, I'm not going to stay here and get even taxed higher than I already am, which is way, way, way too high. Why not just move to a state where I don't get taxed in terms of state income taxes? Texas, the aforementioned Tennessee, Florida. Well, here we go. This is Katie Wilson. And this is just dumb. And it probably is dumb because this is a 43-year-old woman who has never held a job before, much like Zohran Mamdani. But let's go to cut number, if I could find it, 14. Go.
I think the claims that millionaires are going to leave our state are like super overblown, and if the ones that leave, like, bye.
Bye. What? Okay, because they'll do it, and then all that tax revenue that you need for all the free stuff goes with them. These are dumb people for leading these cities. Think about this for a second, right? Minnesota, Jacob Frey, Brandon Johnson in Chicago, Karen Bass in Los Angeles, Katie Wilson, Seattle, Zohran Mamdani in New York. Oh, boy. Best and brightest. Definitely not at the front of the line here. No question about it. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night. Back with so much more in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
All right, welcome back, everybody. So, a fairly ridiculous person, probably the most ridiculous in Congress, is our Congresswoman from the 14th District of New York, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And here, again, I don't even know why some reporters exist, because can somebody ask this person, AOC, hey, in 2019, when you first came into Congress, you said that the Earth only had 12 years left before we'd all be extinct and it would just be one big burning inferno. And she said, that's why we needed to spend not billions, trillions of dollars to fight climate change. Well, better get that bucket list ready because it's 2026 now. I guess that only means we have 5 years left before Earth as we know it will no longer exist, according to AOC. But no one ever asked her about that. Instead, she gets questions like this, asking if she thinks we'll have a female and or a gay president in our lifetime, because that's the important stuff we want to hear about. This is cut number 16. Go.
The DOJ is giving an update on the second indictment of former FBI Director James Comey. Let's listen in.
Making a threat to take the life of and to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States. Count 2. Same day, May 15th, 2025, that the defendant, James Comey, knowingly and willfully transmitting in interstate commerce a communication that contained a threat to kill the President
Guys, let's cut it all
of the
down.
United States.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Well, I'll summarize what she said. She said that we may have already had a gay president. In other words, somebody who was in office was gay, and we may have had it. She didn't say who. I don't know who she possibly could be referring to. Definitely not Bill Clinton. George W. Bush, no. Obama, probably not. Probably not. Yeah, who knows? Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night. Back with so much more in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
And welcome back, everybody. So, President Trump was asked today about if he wears a bulletproof vest. This, of course, in light of the fact that he's not been almost killed, not once, not twice, but 3 times, 3 assassination attempts. And again, it's worth asking this question. How many other world leaders has there been this many assassination attempts against in the past 21 months as Trump has endured? None. Even like Vladimir Zelensky, who literally has Russia in his country during war, assassins trained to kill him. And even Zelensky hasn't been shot at the way Trump was in the year, or nearly killed on a golf course like Trump was in September of 2024, or have gunmen running into dinners where half the cabinet was with the president in the same room, which I guess for succession, maybe that's not a good idea to do these things in public places. So many cabinet members that were there, Secretary of State, FBI director, Treasury Secretary, Vice President, in a hotel where, you know, that's where Ronald Reagan was shot. So the karma isn't very good there as well. And again, they're going to hold this dinner I think, in a couple of weeks. And I think they're going to try to have it right back at the Washington Hilton. I'm sure that security will be improved, but still, I don't see the point in having it there. Just have it in a place where you can control who goes in and out, and not in a hotel where 1,000 people are staying and weddings are going on and all this other crap. I mean, I'm even hearing stories now that you ever stay at a hotel and you have to use your room key in order to get to the floor that you're staying on. So when you get to the elevator, you got to put it over some sort of scanner, and that only allows you to get to that floor. That wasn't working that night at the Washington Hilton. Like things like this, it's ridiculous. My friend Jimmy Fallon, I was on Fox with him a day or two ago, and he was caught in a hot mic saying that this doesn't look very safe. It's basically like 2 people guarding this entire ballroom outside of it, and that was it. And he says, yeah, I don't regret saying that I was caught on a hot mic saying that, because it's true. I mean, that would have been, let's put it this way. Think of this scenario. Iran says, hey, we're at war. And since you took out our leadership, we're going to take out your leadership. So we're going to find 20 good old-fashioned jihadis that don't mind sacrificing themselves for Allah or for defeating the great Satan that is the United States. What if 20 people rushed through that Secret Service checkpoint instead of 1? And let's say we got 16 of them, but the other 4 got to the ballroom. Trust me, I've been to that ballroom. There aren't many places in and out. 1,000 people all stacked together. It would have been bloody chaos, absolute insanity. Thank God that didn't happen. But I'm sure Iran's looking at this and maybe other enemies saying, boy, these guys really don't have their act together, when, Trump, not once, not twice, but thrice, has been targeted for assassination, and one obviously within a millimeter of being successful. Anyway, Trump was asked today in the Oval Office if he is wearing a bulletproof vest, and Trump had a very Trumpian answer to this one. This is cut number 20. Go.
Is there talks about you potentially wearing a bulletproof vest moving forward, given you have now been shot at?
I don't know if I can handle looking 20 pounds heavier. These guys, they look so good. Some of these guys are physical specimens. Some of these guys are trouble. I don't want to be near him.
I mean, yeah, it probably does make it look like you're 20 pounds heavier. Trump a little heavy as it is. He's tall, though, and suits are very well tailored. So you don't look at him and say, hey, wow, look at that fat guy. But at the same time, yeah, that's very Trumpian. That, it probably would help save my life, but I don't want to really look like I got an extra 20 on me. That's utterly ridiculous. Meanwhile, this is incredible. This Supreme Court decision that says you can no longer gerrymander on the basis of race. In other words, you can't just create districts that are so-called black districts, for example. And this is a very, very big deal. And it just makes sense. I mean, this has nothing to do with race per se, but just districts should be districts based on representation of whoever wants to represent it, but not based on the color of the majority of the population's skin. I mean, that's racism in a nutshell. But The View is not very happy about this at all. Here is Sonny Hostin, who, I don't know if there's a more insufferable person on the planet, forget the country, the planet, than Sonny Hostin, who seems to think that she is still growing up in like the Jim Crow South, or, pre-Civil War days of America, the way she talks about how she's discriminated against all the time when, she earns 7 figures and has multiple homes. And yeah, I'm pretty sure if that's discrimination, I'll take it because her life seems pretty good. But anyway, here is Sonny in cut number 17, and boy, she loses it. 17, go.
Alito argued that the vast social change has occurred throughout the country, and particularly in the South, indicating that racism no longer exists in this country. I can tell you, as a black woman, that my father was born in 1949. He remembers segregated schools. He remembers segregated water fountains. He remembers that he did not have full civil rights. And he told me when I turned 40 years old that I was the first person in his family to enjoy full civil rights. And he is still alive today, and I am still alive today, and I have been discriminated against. And now I have to tell my children that they have less civil rights than I did when I was born.
That's true.
That is disgusting, despicable, and I am devastated by this particular Supreme Court decision, even though, Whoopi, we did know this was coming.
What about, wait a second, what about Clarence Thomas? Didn't he stick up for his own?
No. He did. He did not.
He did not.
No.
And
he
by
was
the
part
way,
of the majority here.
Yeah. This has repercussions.
Oh, so Clarence Thomas shouldn't base his decisions based on the Constitution or the law, but staying on the side of his race, I suppose? Again, these are utterly racist things that you hear on the show, and they don't even realize it. Whoopi Goldberg goes even further here, if that's possible. Boy, we're a long way from the movie Ghost and Sister Act. But here's Whoopi in cut number 18, talking about how, this whole decision is going to result in people getting shot trying to vote and being chased by wild dogs or something. Cut number 18, go.
Here's the other problem. We make laws to fix problems. We put the Voting Rights Act together because there was an issue, because they were keeping people from voting.
Right.
They were literally shooting people. They were running them down with dogs to keep them from voting.
I mean, I'm almost speechless, which is not a good thing to be on radio. But so we're going to start seeing dogs chasing down black folks when they try to vote. We heard the same thing about Georgia, by the way. Remember, that was Jim Crow 2.0 when they passed their voting laws, their new voting laws back in 2021. And we heard all these things that it's going to be possible for blacks to vote and for minorities to vote. And this is discrimination. It's Jim Crow. And what happened? The following election, Georgia broke all voting records in the state. And then it did again in 2024 under these horrible new laws that are going to be completely and totally make it impossible for minorities to vote, except that never happened. And that won't happen here either, despite what you're hearing from ABC News. And yes, this is your reminder that The View is a part of the ABC News umbrella. No, really, it's true. Anyway, let's get back to what we led with tonight, and that's Erica Kirk, who has kept her mouth shut, probably against every fiber of her being in terms of responding to Candace Owens, as far as Candace, with all these utterly disgusting attacks, accusing Erica of having her own husband murdered so she could take over Turning Point. Anyway, she's had enough, and here she is in cut number 7. Go.
This culture we're living in absorbs disagreement as a form of personal betrayal. It turns having an opposing viewpoint into a moral crime worthy of punishment. And here's what I've realized through all of this, truly, having lived through quite literal hell these past 7 months, if you strip someone of their humanity long enough, you will arrive at the chilling conclusion that they don't deserve to exist at all. Every morning I wake up to a new headline lying about me. I have comedians dressing up in whiteface. I have people saying I'm not fit to be CEO. And I have Candace Owens claiming I murdered my husband. And the list goes on and on and on.
It's just really something. She hadn't said Candace Owens' name in a very long time, and now she finally just had enough. When you get accused the way that Erica Kirk has of murdering her own husband, at some point you could try to be respectful, just, be above it, not saying anything. Don't give Candace Owens any oxygen. Well, she did, and it probably felt good, but now you know that this will only have Candace doubling and tripling her efforts as far as smearing Erica Kirk to the point where, you know what? I say sue her into oblivion. This is obviously what Candace Owens is doing, completely and totally defamatory. And there's enough evidence, believe me, out there for Erica Kirk to win a lawsuit like that. Let's play cut number 3, by the way, because this is interesting. This is Candace saying that Erica Kirk should also, obviously, since she murdered her husband, she should be in jail as well. This is cut number 3. Go.
Guys, straight to jail. For questioning at least Erica. I don't care who's mad. I really do not care who wants to be upset after this episode. Really, you will be wasting your breath. You can spend $1 billion on influencers because this is all becoming increasingly inexplicable. You are asking me to be an idiot, actually, and I cannot do that for you. Someone once commented beneath this show that if the situations were reversed and there were this many verifiable lies that Charlie told regarding.
Yeah. I mean, you hear this. And remember, Candace Owens also said that Tyler Robinson wasn't on campus that day, the guy who killed Charlie Kirk. And then when there was overwhelming video evidence that, yes, he was, then she said, well, actually, there were body doubles and triples and quadruples that were hired, a bunch of Tyler Robinsons, just to throw off the set, like crazy stuff. I think I'm going to stop playing it now at this point because it's really just, it's sickening. But again, I think it deserves to be pointed out that not all the crazies are on the left. But I don't even know if Candace Owens is on the right. I don't know what she is. I don't think there is a place for her that you could quite identify when you talk the way she does. Anyway, Jasmine Crockett, speaking of idiots, she tried to run for Senate in Texas, didn't get past the primary. So now she's back doing all these ridiculous interviews, making all these ridiculous statements like, I don't know, Greg Abbott, who's the governor of Texas, who was struck by a tree when he was 26 years old. The tree was struck by lightning. Tree comes down, hits Abbott. Abbott, since then, has not been able to walk. He is paralyzed from the waist down. Here is Jasmine Crockett saying that tree that fell on Abbott, that made him a prime candidate for DEI. This is an actual sitting member of Congress saying this. Cut number 10, go.
When it was a tree that ended up making him a part of the DEI class, just so y'all know, he is DEI. Yes, because he is uniquely abled, or actually he ain't able, child. Because anyway, whole other issue.
What the hell? The guy is paralyzed. So between Candace Owens going after a widow and a single now mother of two, and Erica Kirk, and then Jasmine Crockett going after Greg Abbott for being in a wheelchair. Imagine that, never being able to walk again. And then you have a state representative actually mocking you. And she did. She has mocked him. Not just there, but let's do a little flashback here and cut number 11. Here's Jasmine calling, again, a guy in a wheelchair, Governor Hot Wheels. Cut 11, go.
Because we in these hot-ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot-ass mess, honey. So yes.
Oh, so when Texas gets redistricted, Jasmine will probably be out of a job, and then she'll be on The View in about 8 seconds. She is absolutely probably the best co-host they could think of for that ridiculous show. So that's the prediction here. Meanwhile, Jasmine has these weird accents. When she first came into Congress, she spoke like a normal human being. But, well, another flashback here. Cut number 8. The Jasmine Crockett accent is really, I don't know, pandering is the only word that comes to mind. Cut number 8, go.
Baby, because these people, they are crazy. Because they always talk about how Christian they is. Yeah, I don't know how many of them on that side are getting divorced because they getting caught up sleeping with their co-workers, staffers, interns, all the things. Yeah, you ain't got to believe me. Just go Google. You'll find some of it. I'm telling you. And the wives is being messy and petty. They putting it in the divorce. I'm like, ooh, that's got to be true because your lawyer would know that they going to lose it if they...
Oh, man. Well, as the great John Kennedy once said, not the president, but the senator, you can't fix stupid. And what Joe Concha has also said as well, the only difference between genius and stupidity is that genius has its limits. And this is just, I can't believe these people get elected into office and then go on national television, talk about their plans for the country. It's just, it's so disturbing. And it always seems to be almost entirely on the left. It really is remarkable. Before we go to break, Seth Moulton, this guy is the biggest clown in Congress. And now he went on, of course, CNN last night, Aaron Burnett, to call for basically the execution. Forget, impeachment. We're going to go right to execute the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, for war crimes or something. Here it is, cut number 19, go.
Do you believe that the Secretary of Defense is guilty of war crimes? Absolutely. I mean, he's clearly behind the operation to shoot all these boats in the Caribbean when it's very unclear that we actually have any confirmation that these so-called narco-terrorists, a term the administration invented to justify this action, are even on the boats. I mean, in fact, there's a lot of evidence that these are just fishermen, getting jobs, piloting these boats, trying to feed their families. There's been press reporting on some of these individuals who've been killed who are clearly not war criminals. And on top of that, we then have the strike where they came back and hit it again, a double tap, just purely to kill these survivors who were clinging to wreckage. It's interesting, Aaron, another historical analogy. Back in World War II, the Allies tried Nazi submarine captains for doing this exact same thing. And guess what the conclusion was? They got executed. Listen to that, Mr. Secretary.
Oh, okay. Now, here's the funny thing about that clip, besides, the whole execution part. CNN released the clip, but left out the part at the end about the Nazis executing their submarine commanders, because even they thought that was too crazy. But this is the temperature that we're at here in Washington at this point. Again, we're only 5 days since a third assassination attempt on the President of the United States and probably many of his cabinet members, if anybody got into that room. And this is the type of stuff that we're hearing from Democrats as far as executing, or at least implying that they want certain members of the cabinet, in this case, Pete Hegseth, executed. And that's just a whole bowl of broken. Of course, CNN didn't push back one bit on that as well. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is a very depressing Concha at night. We're going to wrap this puppy up in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. So Al Gore, remember, just a few years ago, he said that the Arctic ice caps would be totally gone and places like Miami, New York would probably be underwater. An Inconvenient Truth was the film. I believe it came out in 2006. It won all sorts of awards, and every prediction in it has never come true. But besides that, for whatever reason, Al Gore still gets interviewed and gets asked his opinion on global warming. Well, it seems that global, heating is out and global freezing is in. Go figure. Cut one, go.
There's a whole big article summarizing the recent dire warnings of the scientists who found yet more confirmatory information that this is a very real threat within the next 25 years.
If that happens and the Gulf Stream ceases to exist as we know it, we're in an ice age in like 10 years.
No. It would take long, but it would be bad.
Oh, so now the ice age is coming after the world was going to melt away the way AOC predicted. Unbelievable. All right. Well, before we go, let's play this classic. We've talked about Jimmy Kimmel before and how insufferable he is. This is what conversations used to sound like on late night. This is Carson with Sinatra, and he asked a very, very good question. Cut number 5. Go.
I grew up with you, listened to your music in high school and so forth. It just occurred to me, crazy thought this afternoon. When you're in a romantic mood and you're trying to make out, whose records do you put on?
Excellent question.
I've spent a lot of nice evenings listening to your music, and I just wonder who Frank listens to.
I play Jerry Fail or some of those.
Yeah. Great stuff. That goes on for 4 minutes and 30 seconds. But we are out of time, unfortunately. This is Joe Concha. This has been Concha at Night. We're back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on WABC and on stations around the country. Until then, I got 2 words for you. Bye-bye.
Let Century Management Solutions get you to your next medical appointment. They specialize in non-emergency medical transportation, connecting patients to care, safety, reliability, and on time. Their advanced technology platform seamlessly coordinates patients, healthcare providers, insurers, and transportation partners all in one powerful network. With over 200 trusted transportation providers, they deliver scalable solutions backed by real-time tracking and complete transparency. Go to SENTRYMS.com.